Haló, já jsem Broňa, nadšený učitel angličtiny z Brna, který pomáhá lidem zamilovat se do angličtiny. No, ty vás nadšeně vítám na začátku tohoto videa, což je rozhovor, ve kterém jsem já, pochopitelně, ale hlavně Jen. Jen je skvělá, hrozně mega sympatická Američanka, uvidíte sami, která má skvělý YouTube kanál Dream Prague, kde natáčí super videa, jestli to neznáte, určitě se podívejte o rozdílu mezi životem v České republice a v Americe, o nás, o Češích, o tom, jak mluvíme. Je to fakt skvělý kanál a hlavně Jen je skvělá. No a vy jste mi psali, že je skvělá, tak já jsem koukal na její videa, přišel jsem k tomu, že je skvělá, pozval jsem ji na rozhovor, mám velikou radost, že se mnou přijela a v tomhle rozhovoru si napsal, co uvidíme, jo. Takže se dozvíme, jak se Jen dostala do České republiky, proč si vlastně z celého světa vybrala tu, že bude žít právě u nás, jaký zníme my Češi a jestli nás dokáže poznat třeba podle, jak když mluvíme anglicky, jestli z dálky pozná, že to jsme Češi, co udělat pro to, aby jsme zněli víc americky, nám poradí, který slovo je pro ní nejtěžší vyslovit v češtině, to bylo vtipné. Proč bychom v angličtině neměli říkat slovo toilet, se taky dozvíme, jakou gramatickou chybu nejčastěji děláme, který slova nejčastěji zaměňujeme, ale kromě angličtiny jsme se taky bavili o tom, jaký je podle ní největší rozdíl mezi běžným životem Čechů a Američanů, nebo nastavení mysli a co se jí tady nejvíc u nás líbí, taky o tom, co jí tady nejvíc překvapilo, když jsem dojela, se povídáme, a taky co by dalo třeba na billboardy po celé České republice, kdyby mohla, se dozvíte. Je to prostě video, které je podle mě fakt jako super, protože Jen je super, mluví krásnou angličtinou, můžete si 30 minut zaposlouchat do fakt inspirativního povídání a zjistit, jak někdo z Ameriky, kdo žije tady mezi námi, na nás kouká, co na nás oceňuje a co se mu třeba až tolik nelíbí. Takže určitě užijte si rozhovor. Připravený? Tak pojďme na to! So, first of all, thank you for coming. I'm really pleased. All the viewers that I said about, they said that they love you. So once more officially, people just love you here in the Czech Republic.
Oh, that is so nice to hear. Thank you.
Well, it's probably true because I watched the video and they are fantastic. Oh, by the way, we are going to speak in English and I'm sure you will understand. It's great practice.
Great practice.
So first question, imagine I meet you at a party, I don't know you, and I say, hello, I'm Broňa.
Hi, Broňa.
So, what do you do?
That's a difficult one. It's a typical American question. What do you do? I have a YouTube channel, primarily, and I make videos about my life in the Czech Republic.
Cool. So you would say that's your job. I love it.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, fantastic. And how did you end up in the Czech Republic? I mean, it's a beautiful place in here, but people usually ask, why here?
Why here? Exactly. We sat down one night, my husband and I, and we decided we wanted to move to Europe, and we didn't know where. And my husband had spent 3 days in 1999 in Prague, only 3 days, and he said it was his favorite place in all of Europe. And so I suggested maybe Prague. And first I gave him some wine. And then he agreed. He was drinking wine. And,
and was it Czech wine or probably not?
No, it was probably Californian wine. But he started to feel like, yeah, Prague. And I convinced him in one evening.
Okay. But what was the reason to move to Europe? Was it like to experience something new or to escape something that you didn't like?
Oh, deep questions. We had lived in Japan for 3 years before that. I'm originally from California. And we really enjoyed the adventure. But when we moved back to the US, we felt like our lives lacked that unknown adventure. It was too easy. Everything was the same. And so we had always wanted to live in Europe. And so the decision was where in Europe.
And we were lucky that you chose Prague or the Czech Republic. Now I'm going to ask some questions about English.
Yeah.
And later maybe about culture and life in the Czech Republic.
Great.
Good. So first, this is the question most people ask. How Czech people sound to you? You know, when you hear a Czech and you say it's a Czech, I mean, not in Prague, of course, but
yes.
You hear somebody speaking English, you say, he's Czech because...
Yes, that's a very good question. I will admit, at first, it was difficult to tell the difference between a Russian, a Polish person, a Slovak, a Czech, Serbo-Croatian. That was difficult. Any Slavic speaking English sounded the same to me. But now it's a very distinct sound. I can't put my exact words to it, but it just sounds Czech to me.
Okay.
And it makes me feel like, oh, I have a friend here. I know this person.
Oh, that's nice. But I know this is super hard, but how would you describe how Czech people speaking English sound to you? Because I can see if somebody is speaking Czech.
Yes.
And I can hear like, oh, he's American, or he's maybe from Japan, but it's impossible for me to feel it the other way around, you know?
Yes, I would say that přízvuk is the real important thing. And I know this because my viewers tell me that my přízvuk is all over the place. Czechs accent on the first syllable, and they have a very rhythmic way of speaking. Whereas I think Americans do with their voice what Italians do with their hands.
Oh, that's nice.
We emphasize whatever syllable we want you to understand. So we have no real we have rules, but usually we are very expressive with our accent. So Czechs, if they learned a little bit of that, it would make them sound more American.
Well, that was actually my question. So how to sound more American? So you'd say you would go, but if somebody's watching that and thinking, how should I apply it? So is it more like going up and down more?
Well, don't get too creative. What I would suggest is watching a video, listening to a podcast, and just taking a short sample of this and repeating it over and over. This is my Czech teacher's advice to me about how to sound more Czech, is to listen to this and don't put my own imagination into the expression, but do exactly what the speaker says.
Great advice. Thank you. And maybe, is there any word you always hear us Czech saying wrong? Something typical pronunciation mistake?
Yeah, that's a very good one. A pronunciation mistake. I can't think of any pronunciation mistake. If I do, I'll come back to it.
Absolutely. And okay, so what is the most difficult for you to say in Czech language? Is it this r thing or hluboký talíř?
My r,
it's fantastic.
It goes in and out. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not. Stiťovka. These like soft T's, like, and also ny, like. When I see N and I together, I think ni, but it's ni. And it's these little subtle differences that my teacher is really trying to get me to do. So those are difficult for me. Whereas the more traditionally difficult things I mastered earlier because we don't have it in English. So I knew I had to master it.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
And what about vocabulary? Have you, again, it's the mistake, people ask about mistake. Is there any vocabulary maybe Czech people use and you feel like, you shouldn't, or...
Yes.
For, I mean, an example, I didn't know that I'm not supposed to say toilet. Because I feel it's a really nice, polite word, but I discovered not everybody sees it the same way in the US.
And I'll tell you why, well, personally, because we don't want to know what you're doing in there. We say the bathroom, which is a silly thing to say, but the restroom, I'm going to rest. Maybe I'm taking a bath, but the toilet gives us an image of what the purpose is. And we don't need to know that. So we don't say toilet. One thing that is a false friend that's really difficult for Czechs is kontrolovat and control. They're not the same. Kontrolovat, in English, we would say to manage. Like, I can't manage my emotions, or I can't control. Let me think. Kontrolovat. Oh, I'm sorry. Kontrolovat in Czech is to check something.
Yes.
To check the answers, right? And when you say control, it's like to control a car, to ovládat.
Or maybe you can control a country, like Russia. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's to exert power over, is to control. But kontrolovat is to check, to make everything, to see if it's correct. So this is a typical mistake.
Thank you. And it's not in our questions, but is it true that home office is not really an English word?
So many words I've taken from Czech, and I can't even remember if it's true, if it's good English or not. No, we don't say home office. We work from home.
Yeah, I thought so.
But home office...
But it's, it's like English word.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's more exact, where in American English we don't have the exact expression.
So maybe we created word for you.
You did. You did.
Good. And is there any word that you miss in Czech? That, you know, in English there is word for something. You want to say it in Czech.
Yes.
There is no...
Yeah. I never know how to say I'm excited. In English, we say, like, for example, when we had this opportunity to meet, I wanted to say, I'm excited about this meeting. I don't know how to say excited in Czech is a little bit of a different meaning. It only means in Czech, těším se.
And how about jsem nadšená?
Would it work?
I would say so.
Okay.
At least for me.
It means I'm looking forward to something.
Yes. But yeah, it's true. It's not exactly the same, but when you know, when I say in Czech, jsem nadšený učitel angličtiny, you know, I feel like, you know, I'm excited. Yeah. But then some people said that I can be sexually excited.
That's what I've learned, and so I steer away from that meaning. But in American English, we tend to exaggerate. Everything is amazing. Everyone's excited. And so I say, I'm excited about meeting you. I'm excited about breakfast this morning.
Oh, cool. So I'm excited about food all the time. Yeah. And the other way around, is there any Czech word that you feel there is no equivalent in English, that we have something you don't have?
Right. Well, přozvonit is one, because, so this, for English speakers watching, it's to call, but so that the other person sees that you called, but then you hang up before the call goes through. And I think it has a purpose, particularly for me in Prague, because our bell doesn't work on our door. So this tells me that my party guests have arrived.
Oh, I see.
But in English, maybe we don't have so much a need for it. I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe you don't need this. Because I don't know if it was the same, but when calling started in the Czech Republic, long time ago, it was really expensive.
Yeah.
So it would be like the calling me would be a price of beer when I had my first phone. So nobody wanted to call me, you know, they wanted to save it for beer. So everybody was just giving a ring, prozvonit, and I think it stayed with us. Now I think there is no need for me because I have this unlimited calling.
Well, I still need it because I have the pay as you go. But yeah, that's exactly why. And in English, we would say, can you call and hang up? But it's very clumsy. It doesn't have this precise meaning.
Okay, thank you. So we can be proud we've got something cool.
Yeah.
Now, is there any grammar mistake you hear a lot? Like, I don't know, tenses mixing or saying something that means something else? Or
Well, it's obvious that the perfect tenses are difficult for Czechs because they're something new. It's something new for Czechs. I would say the overuse of will when you're speaking about the future. You have different ways to speak about the future. Like, I fly tomorrow at 7. It's the present simple. But we're using it because this is on a timetable. My flight is on a timetable, so we use present simple. Or, I'm going to pick you up at 7 in the morning. It's a plan, and so we use going to. We're going to pick you up. But for Czechs, perhaps they have a more simple way of future, budeš, and so they use will a lot. So it's not incorrect, but it's not natural how Americans or British people would express themselves.
And that's connected with the next question. When you hear this, is it something like you just say, it's not okay, but you understand? Or is it something like you stop and think, does it mean this or that? Or
Absolutely. First, I'm a teacher, so I have more understanding than the man on the street of what people are trying to say. But we understand it. It means the future. What it does is it shows that you're not a native speaker. That's the only difference. It's putting you into a limited function of English. So it's fine. We understand it. But as you want to become more like a native speaker, understanding the slight differences in the future is important.
Okay, thank you. And maybe this is like teacher question, but do you kind of scan for the mistake? Because when I listen to people speaking English, non-native speakers, I can't help it.
Yeah.
I mean, my English is definitely not good, but I make a lot of mistakes. But the thing is that I can't stop kind of scanning for them. Do you have this thing too, or do you just listen for the message and ignore noise?
It depends because I think in English it is, so let me go back. There are so many people all over the world speaking English. We are very accustomed to hearing very bad grammar, bad misused vocabulary. So we are scanning for the meaning just to survive. Just when we travel, when we're around, we're scanning for the meaning. As a teacher, of course, they ping in my head, right? And the worst situation is when I'm in a group message with other English teachers and you use the wrong there. Everyone will correct you. So all the English teachers have been trained to see this. So when I'm with students, but we're in a social setting, I don't correct them because it's slightly impolite to correct people outside of a classroom. But the next day, when we're in the classroom, I would make a correction. So okay. I hear it, but I'm not correcting you if we're in a social
really
setting.
I think it's good to have some kind of limitation.
Yeah.
I met my kindergarten teacher when I was about 30 and she says, Broňačku, máš rozvázanou tkaničku. It means, your shoe is untied. And she couldn't.
That's one of her common mistakes she sees.
Yeah, but I love her.
That's
if you're
so
watching.
funny.
No, the kind of, I call it culture. Mm-hmm. When you arrived to the Czech Republic, at the beginning, was there something that kind of really shocked you or surprised, or you were like, why do people...
Yes, let's see. I was a little bit taken aback by the attitudes of people. I thought that if you smile in an office, people will naturally want to help you, but it's not true. And it's very difficult for an American. We kind of go around the world with like a smile and everyone wants to help me, right? but it's the opposite. I think for Czechs, they, especially the Czechs who don't want to practice their English with you, they don't want to be bothered. It's difficult. You run into these problems mostly in government offices, but I don't blame anyone. It's their country. Why do I expect them to speak English? I shouldn't.
But do you think they do it because they don't want to be bothered, or they are shy or afraid, or maybe they don't want to bother you?
I think so. I joke about this on my channel, but I think that the individuals who currently work in some of these offices, maybe in the post office or in the úřad, the older ones, the younger ones, they're great. The older ones, I think they were learning Russian in school, and so why would they don't know English, and their job is not to help the foreigner who doesn't speak any Czech. It's not their job, and so they're a little shy about it. And as a contrast, when we lived in Japan, Japanese people don't, on the whole, speak English very well, but they would really spend a lot of time taking you, trying to help you, Google translating. So I do notice a difference between the Czechs and other cultures as far as trying to help the foreigner.
I'm a little sorry to hear it, but we may improve it.
Yeah.
Good.
And I do want to say that the younger generation who's starting to work in some of these offices, their English is great. They're very helpful. So it's slowly changing, and that's wonderful.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
What is the biggest difference between Czech and American lifestyle? I mean, like, imagine it's our typical family, American and Czech.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest difference in the way they live their lives?
Oh, it's such a big question.
Yeah, you can just, pick something funny. You don't have to be like a sociologist. That just...
Yeah, sure. I have spoken about this before on my channel, but I think that Americans really accumulate a lot. We have dreams like the bigger, the better. Success means a big house, a big yard, something like this. And I think Czechs are a little bit more oriented towards a satisfying life, a life that's healthy. We can feed our family. We can drive to Croatia for vacation. we can do, like, happiness is to be found in the everyday, whereas Americans have this so-called American dream. What is it? A big house, a big car. This is a big generalization that I'm making, but this is a difference. And I feel very at peace in the Czech style of life, in my flat here, and I don't have dreams to live in a castle someday.
Good, thank you. Yeah. Is there something funny that happened to you in connection with like Czech English that maybe, I don't know, some funny misunderstanding? Because usually I talk with people about the Czech problems that we have in English, something that we say and people understand differently.
Yes.
But so it would be nice to hear that we are not the only one with some troubles with language.
Oh, absolutely. Sure, many mistakes I've made, but when I was teaching, there's sometimes with American English and British English, there's different expressions, different idioms, and I have not been exposed to British English. We don't learn some of these expressions. And so as a teacher, I would correct a student and say, that's not correct. I'm speaking about like an idiom. And I had a wonderful student who actually is from Brno, and he used the expression, something cost a bomb. British expression. It's very expensive. And I told him in front of the class, it's not correct. It's not. And I looked it up after class, and I was very embarrassed that I embarrassed him. And so the next day I made a big apology to him and basically admitting that English is not American English. Despite what the English say, it's not British English. It's not Australian English. There's a lot of English. And so being humble as a teacher is important, and realizing that getting your meaning across is the most important thing in English.
I couldn't agree more. And I admire you for admitting the mistake. I think all teachers should be able to do that. Yeah. But sometimes I think we don't do it. So.
Yeah, well, we should.
We should, definitely. Yeah. Imagine that you're in California meeting your American friends, and they would say, so what are the Czechs like? You know, they ask you to describe us as the nation, and it's just like a party. You can't go deep. So what would you say? What would be your answer?
Yes. Oh, it's quite difficult. I think they're very clever and very humble at the same time. But I find Czechs to be very educated. They know a lot about the world. And and I know that they're clever because they're very funny, and it takes some level of intelligence to be witty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But what would you really say? I mean, because you know that Czech people now are watching you, but would you really say that to an American friend? I'm not doubting it. I'm just asking. Imagine nobody's.
I would say also. Let's see. A little grumpy. Just a little bit not out in the world smiling, not out in the world trying to befriend everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last two questions about that. One is that some of you asked, so thank you. It was, do you miss this American everything is great approach? You know, like kind of like maybe faking happiness a little because it's polite. Do you miss this? It's connected with the grumpiness, you say. You know?
Yes, it's hard to take away from my personality. Like when a few years ago, I met a friend, an American friend, on the street, and he said, "How are you?" And I said, I was crying, and I said, I'm fine. My cat just died, but I'm fine. So we cannot exposing our negativity is considered rude. It's considered impolite. So it's hard to stop doing that. But no, I don't miss it. I've gotten used to life in my interactions with Czech people. And when I go back to the United States, when I'm in the checkout counter and the checkout lady is asking me, you know, where did you buy the sweater? And what are you making with these ingredients? Oh, I have a recipe for you. I think like, oh, it's a little too personal. Do I know you? I don't know you. So I've become a little bit more Czech in the same way.
I didn't know if I should say congratulations or I'm sorry, you know.
It depends.
Yeah,
it depends.
Good. And people wanted to know, and it's a good one to finish this part. What do you like most about Czech people?
What do I like? I'm really shocked with how nice people are in my comments. Like, there's some negative comments, but like, wow, I feel like I've learned a lot about how sort of kind and friendly Czech people can be in the comments. And it's strange because these are total strangers. We haven't even met, but on the street, they would be more closed. So I think there's a real like warmth in Czechs that they don't show.
Well hidden.
Yeah, it's well hidden. Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
Now I have some. Yeah, so go. No.
And I've also noticed, because I sometimes talk about how Americans smile a lot, people are smiling at me on the street, like exaggerated smiles. And I think they might be viewers, and I think they're testing me to see if I really smile. But I've never been smiled at so much in 8 years as since I started the channel.
If you want people to smile at you, start a YouTube channel and talk about smiling.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I've got similar experience. Sometimes people smile at me and I just don't know if it's normal smile or they maybe watched a video.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I'm sure people smile at you all the time.
But they're are they
too embarrassed to try English with you?
I don't know. Sometimes they say nice things, so thank you. And I'm happy if people, start speaking English to me. It's nice.
Good, cool.
But usually drunk people do it. I think Czech people are sometimes, shy, but once you have 2-3 beers, you feel like, my English is good.
Liquid courage.
I didn't know this expression.
Oh yeah, liquid courage.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. It's usually so you can go talk to a pretty girl, but maybe to speak English as well.
Thank you. And now I got some general or personal question.
Yeah.
If you could put something on billboards all around the Czech Republic for free, what would you write there? And would you do it in Czech or in English?
Oh, that's really good.
So what in what language?
In what language? I'd put it in Czech, and you're gonna have to, so everyone could see it and understand it. So maybe you can help me. I feel like Czechs need to understand that they're actually like very admirable as a country, and I don't think Czechs have a good national self-confidence.
Mm-hmm. So you would say something like Češi, buďte sebevědomí, or važte si sami sebe, or...
Exactly. More self-confidence.
Good. I like it.
Yeah. Americans might be too self-confident. Czechs are not self-confident.
So for American version would be humble? Or...
Yeah, maybe.
I really like when your president says that I'm the humblest person ever.
Yeah, irony is dead.
I don't know, I think this one was funny. I didn't know if he meant it as a joke, but I felt it was funny.
I don't know if he jokes very often.
Okay. Do you do something that you like, or you just do and almost everybody feel it's crazy?
I think some of my friends at home, in my peer group, in my age group, think that my husband and I are a little crazy for leaving the United States and living in Europe. This is the time of people's lives when they are buying homes, having children, settling into a community, and we have done the opposite. We're living like we're study abroad kids. We just kind of have a more it all could end tomorrow. So why not do the interesting things now? So I think my peers think we're a little crazy.
Yes. And we can agree that they are the crazy ones.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure they're happy, but...
That's important.
Yeah.
And what's the last thing that made you happy, talking about happiness? It can be something small, like something...
Yeah. I really enjoy... I love farmers markets, and I just walked through the Zeli farmers market.
Yes.
Yeah, in Prague we have a really nice one, na Praži or na Plavka. But the one in the middle of town is nice, and to see like the little grandmothers and grandfathers out there. I lost my grandmother 2 years ago, and she's from Montenegro, so she would really, I think, enjoy this type of community, going out to get her tomatoes or something. So I was just I wanted to stop and take pictures, but I had to race here.
So maybe after the recording.
Yeah, but I like that. I love anything in a city that brings people together, it's not an expensive, like a concert. It's just a daily thing.
Oh, good. Yeah, I like it. Very good. And last question. Do you have some kind of life motto or something, like a notation you try to live by, or?
Yeah. I think this is so cheesy. I think life is an adventure. I do. And I think you have to treat every day like an adventure, and every challenge as like something to... A challenge is not a bad thing in English. Like, would it be? Is it a bad thing?
No, it's not.
It's not. Okay. So I think a challenge is every day you grow from the challenge of that day. And we have lots of challenges living as Americans in a different country, but my husband and I talk about them every day, and they're funny to us. They're interesting. They express the character of the place. So looking at challenges in a positive way is good.
It's beautiful. I agree. And before I say thank you, I will say it in a minute. Just down below the video, there will be the link to your fantastic YouTube channel.
Oh,
so
thanks.
you should watch it because it's really amazing and funny. And I appreciate the effort you put into it, because you can see I'm lazy, you know, I just sit here and record it. But your videos, they're amazing. So if you haven't seen them, check them. I will say it in Czech. Podívejte se na videa, jsou úžasná. Thank you for coming. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Broňa.
We can say goodbye together. Bye bye.
Ahoj, čau.
Tak, to byl rozhovor s Jen. Já doufám, že se vám líbil tak moc jako mě. Jen je fakt skvělá, sympatická, byla radost se s ním potkat, moc jsem si to užil. Doufám, že se ještě někdy uvidíme. Kdyby vás něco zajímalo, na co si myslíte, že bych mohl odpovědět já, nebo případně se můžu pokusit zeptat Jen, ale nemůžu slíbit, že odpoví, tak se určitě ptejte. Každopádně určitě taky koukněte na její kanál, je vážně skvělej. A jako vždycky budu nadšený, když třeba v mém kanálu dáte někomu vědět, nebo když se o něm někde zmíníte. Čím víc lidem se takové milé rozhovory s takými úžasnými lidmi dostanou, tím budu mít větší radost, pak mi to potěší. Pokud ještě nejste přihlášeni k odběru, určitě to můžete udělat a uděláte mi velkou radost a něco pro svou angličtinu, ale hlavně don't forget to stay awesome and dream big. Bye bye.